Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's June 26th. These are your headlines. I think the biggest headline of the week is just the sheer number of bonito we're seeing across Rhode Island waters. Maybe a close second would be the number of 40-plus pound stripers that are being caught out at Southwest Ledge. And we're seeing a lot of personal best fluke coming off of Nantucket Shoals. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. The first one is to remind you that the July edition is now available on thefisherman.com. Should be showing up in your mailbox any day now if it hasn't already. And I want to give you a quick rundown of what's available in this issue. So here's a little video to show you just that.
The July glossy edition of the Fisherman magazine is out now. Jim Hutchinson has a breakdown of the management mumbo jumbo. Mike Hatchie has what you need to know if you're planning a trip to the Nantucket Shoals for dinosaur fluke. Going offshore, William Graham has an informative article on safety, strategy, and success. If you're new to tuna fishing, this is a must-read article by Captain Jim Frieda on how to prepare for that first tuna trip. Want to target bluefin tuna? Captain John Raguzzo has his pro tips and advice from his personal obsession. To get all this and more, be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. When you subscribe, you get 12 glossy print editions, 26 digital editions to your inbox, this past weekend's reports, full access to the website, and more. As a subscriber, you can also be part of the Dreamboat Challenge and win a new Steigercraft powered by Yamaha, and compete for a rigged-out kayak from Yak Attack. Subscribe now.
Also want to go through a couple of quick things from the local edition. You're going to find a great story by Charlie Soares on using striped bass tactics to catch big sea bass. You're also going to get a great story from Jeff Sullivan, our friend here from the video. He's detailing what it takes to get a giant striped bass out at Block Island. This is coming from a guy who's caught more than 20 50-pounders off of Southwest Ledge and areas around that. So he's got some great insights on that. We've got a story from Max Germain, which is an interview with a father-son duo of striper fishermen from the North Shore of Massachusetts. They're going to cover a lot of the things you need to know about the North Shore. You're going to get a lot of insights on that. You're also going to get some really, just a great story overall, just to hear about a father-son team that gets it done out there. And also, I'd like you guys to check out something that I wrote. This is the One Fish installment. This is about my friend Don. This is the time when he went to battle with a striped bass and lost. And you'll cringe a little bit, but I think by the end of the story, you'll really enjoy it. This is another great edition, covers all types of fishing, whether you like fluke, whether you like sea bass, whether you like stripers, whether you like tuna. The whole thing is catered to you, and so I hope you guys really enjoy that issue. Next thing is a little video that I asked Coral to give to me. And I saw this on her social media, and I thought it was a really cool example of, what a charter captain really provides. So when somebody charters a boat, it's not just, going out there with a person who knows how to catch fish or where to catch fish and then not having to, fillet or catch at the end of the day. You got someone to do that for you. It's a whole lot more than that. A charter captain provides an adventure and an experience, and, hopefully it's something that you'll never forget. And this video is unique because the person in the video is of Hispanic heritage. He's speaking his native language. I don't understand Spanish, but I don't need to, because the excitement that this guy is feeling is a universal language. And it's something that I think anyone that watches a fishing report video is going to be able to relate to. So we put together a little montage of this guy, and it kind of warms the heart. It's funny, it's exciting, it's kind of got everything. So just check this out real quick.
Vai, filho, bora! Bora, filho! Não, que sai mais grande! Bora, rapaz! Poxa! Não, bebê! Solta não, filho! Solta não, filho! Calma aí, papai! Esse
I have no idea what he's saying.
Também não, papai!
E essa 32 inch?
Não, papai!
Menor um pouquinho, 31.
Que não, pai! Aí, João!
Alright, good. Good.
Oh, that is fantastic.
I ran out of tags. I'm waiting for more to come in. Nice.
Wasn't that great? You know, I mean, that was just incredible. I watched that about 5 times when I first saw it. Next thing is Jenny Ackerman's latest installment of Open Boat.
Hey guys, Jenny here. I have a real treat of an episode coming for you guys at this week's Open Boat. I'm taking you guys on the beach and we're soaking up the sun and catching some fluke. And we also have some guest stars of this Open Boat, including dolphins and ospreys and sand fleas. It's a really scenic episode and you get to hear pure excitement as I catch some fluke. So stay tuned this Sunday at 6 p.m. for episode 104 of Open Boat, and I'll catch you guys out there.
It was a slower week in the CKC with just 4 fish making the board, but there were still major changes at the top of the tournament. We had a pair of bonito hit the board, a 3rd place 21.5 incher landed by Dustin Stevens, and a 21 3/4 incher that now holds 2nd place caught by Todd Treonze. Mike Radzaszewski had a 23.5 inch fluke, which now holds 2nd in the category. The big fish of the week was a monster 48 3/4 inch striper landed by Tom Hood, which now puts him in the lead for the line sider category and more. The top of the tourney now looks like this. We have Dustin Stevens in 3rd place with 5 points. Justin Oser falls to 2nd with 7 points, and thanks to Tom's giant striper, he is now in the lead with 7 total points.
Hey kayakers, the Fisherman's Coastal Kayak Clash Contest is back. Win this fully outfitted Hobie Mirage Lynx kayak from Yak Attack along with other great prizes. Catch and release as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. To enter, you must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, fish from a kayak, and document your catch. Many chances to win great prizes, so get out there on the water now and fish hard. To be part of the action, you must be a subscriber and register at thefisherman.com. Here we go with the Dreamboat update. First, we have Long Island subscriber Joe Lacossi of Ridge, New York, with an 8-pound fluke weighed in at Miller Place Bait and Tackle, putting Joe in 3rd place in the fluke category. Next, we have Jeffrey Harrison, digital subscriber, with his 2nd entry of the contest, with a fluke coming in at 9.65 pounds, weighed in at Fishing Factory 3 in Connecticut. This entry places Jeffrey 2nd in the fluke category. Then there's John Rasulo, a Long Island subscriber from Island Park, New York, with a 2.3 pound porgy weighed in at Bay Park Fishing Station, which places John 6th in the porgy category. Our final entry for the week is from Long Island subscriber Thomas Lucas of Mastic Beach, New York, with a 2.4 pound porgy, which placed him 4th in the porgy division. So we end the week with the leaderboard at 10 points for Rashawn Williams. Jeffrey Harrison has 17 points in 2nd place, and at 19 points, Thomas Luciano is still holding 1st place. Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dreamboat Contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is 1 fish on the board to win a great prize. So however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com.
And the last thing, of course, is the giveaway. I'm going to keep this one short just because we got so much stuff stacked into this week's video. As you guys know, we're giving away 2 custom Super Strike plugs in memory of my friend Don, who passed away back in April. And they are painted to his spec favorite colors, you know, featuring that bright orange. Special thanks to Steve Musso from Super Strike Lures for putting those plugs together for us. And the basics of the deal are you just got to go out and catch a fish and take a great photo. I want a photo that exemplifies New England fishing, and it's got to show the angler holding his or her fish, and I want the details. You know, I want how big the fish was, the area where the fish was caught, anything about the story about the catch. Send them in to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or text them to the number on the screen. Let me know you want to be in the contest. We'll get you in there, and you have a chance to win these great plugs. This one is going to wrap up at the end of the summer. We're wrapping it up on August 27th, so you got plenty of time. Get out there, catch those fish, take those photos, and who knows, you might win something cool. Moving over to the reports now, we'll start things off up in Maine. And for the second week in a row, the striped bass fishing up along the down east coast has been a little off. The tackle shops are citing a lower than normal water temperatures, and I think that's probably a pretty good indication of what's going on. However, I have talked to a few guys that go pretty hard up there. They're still finding some good fish. They're just working for them. So they are in the area, and I think, with a little more weather like this, I'll be sweating through this shirt by the end of this video. With a little more weather like this, things will return to normal, and by mid-July, we should be seeing some great striped bass fishing up there, if not sooner. The other thing I have been hearing about in the Maine area is some really good pollock fishing out in like 250 feet of water, just finding that structure and finding some nice fish out there. There's also been a ton of codfish around, which you need to avoid until September when the cod season reopens, so you're going to want to stay away from those. Dropping down over the border now into Massachusetts, let's check in with Kevin Huang from Surfland Bait and Tackle.
With all this heat going on, I would definitely take your time catching and releasing the striped bass, because the majority of the guys, everyone's catching over slot sized fish. So with all this heat, they're sluggish. Just respect the fishery, take your time, keep them in the water, try not to keep them in the sand, drag them through the sand, powdered donut, as Toby would say, you know what I mean? That's like one of the best descriptions. I would not do that, respect the fish, guys. Striper fishing is still good. The guys soaking bait, mackerel, clams, sea worms are still catching plenty of fish on Plum Island. The guys plugging are still doing pretty well at night. All I gotta say is, like the last report I said, meadow lips. It seems this year meadow lips been doing really well. Whether it's surface, ones that swim right under the surface, you can tune them the way you want, by bending the tie up or down to make it go deeper or go shallower, more towards the surface. And needlefish, my favorite, still sticking plenty of fish. Minnow swimmers, as much as I hate the SP minnow, it catches fish. Yozeri long cast catches fish. That's my favorite one. But the fishing is good. Even with all this heat, the fishing's still good. It's all timing. It's a pattern going on right now. You just got to figure out which time of the tide cycle they're there. And then it's like, from what I heard, every cast getting whacked. So there's definitely fish around. Some very large fish caught on eels at night. Oh man, I would get out there, guys. All right, see you next week.
Now we'll drop down to the Boston area and check in with Danny Parma from Fish Bucket Sport Fishing.
Oh, Davy boy, the stripes are calling. This week's report for Boston, we're doing extremely well. We were out there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we put on a clinic. Everywhere from 20-inch fish to 49-inch fish and everything in between. If you can get out there and find some live mackerel, bring them into the harbor, you'll do extremely well. Without giving any numbers, Castle Island, there's a day marker over by Castle Island that holds fish. Some of the outer islands are holding fish, as well as Dare Island. So if you can get out there, jig up some mackerel, and bring them into the harbor, throw them on a down rod. A lot of the bigger fish are sitting on the bottom. We did find some smaller fish on the top, feeding on the top water. There was a couple blitzes going on in the morning. Morning bites definitely the best right now. It seems to slow down a little bit in the afternoon, but fishing's it's crazy right now. We got some on the mojos, we got some on the umbrellas, we got some on the outgags, whippet eels. We got some on some little peanut poppers. They're out there. There's a lot of fish in the area, and they're hungry. We did get a guy out He's been fishing his whole life and got a 49-inch striper, biggest striper he ever caught. Happy customer. I'm sure he'll be back again next year, if not again this year. Get out there, put your time in, stay hydrated. The heat's friggin' brutal right now, but you know, it's the world we live in. You want to be a fisherman, you got to suck it up, buttercup. That's what I got for you.
Heading inland, Roy is not available this week, but the little bit that I've heard has mostly been largemouth bass fishing, and it's mostly been, you know, early in the morning or late in the evening. It's been too hot for most people to stand fishing in the daytime. Haven't heard of any smallmouth bass from Wachusett this week. Haven't heard of any trout. Heading down to the Boston to the canal coastline there, the South Shore. Basically what I'm hearing is striped bass fishing has been pretty good. I was talking to a friend of mine who does a lot of kayak fishing. He's been doing well with the flutter spoons, so you know there's some bunker in the area. Seeing some nice sized fish into the 30-pound class. Shore guys, same basic deal. There's a lot of good spots along there. They're not hard to find. Just look at a map, you'll see them. A lot of little rocky points and river mouths and whatnot along that stretch. And the eelers are finding some good fish, you know, fishing to the 30-pound class from the surf. Also seeing some guys getting some good fish on plugs in that stretch as well. My favorite plugs along there are subsurface metal lips, you know, something like an Adam Jr. Needlefish of pretty much any kind. You just don't want ones that are too heavy for most of the spots, although there are some deep water spots there where you want the loaded needles as well. And big soft plastics are going to crush it in that area as well. So a lot of nice striped bass to be caught along that stretch. The only other fishing I'm hearing about is little flounder fishing up in the Quincy area, which is still kind of hanging on, and some mackerel, which has been good early in the morning and then been tough to cash in on after that. Crossing the canal out onto the Bayside beaches, seems like the striped bass fishing along that stretch has slowed down to some degree. It seems like more of the guys that I'm talking to now are making the trek out to P-Town. They're fishing from Wood End all the way around and then kind of all the way down the outer beaches to Nauset. Could be a water temp thing, who knows, but the bite has been better on that side of the Cape this week. And boat guys cashing in on this as well. They're fishing 30, 40 feet of water. These fish are on sand eels, so anything that's got a little flash or anything that vaguely resembles a sand eel is getting eaten. Butterfly jigs are working, diamond jigs are working, Ronzis and soft plastics on jig heads like that are working. I haven't heard of anything of great size, you know, fish in the 30 to 40 inch class, but a lot of fish being caught. And overall, you know, it sounds like it's been worth it, whether you're fishing from the beach or from the boat. Offshore guys reporting more bait than tuna. There's been some mackerel around, there's been some herring around, and not a whole lot of tuna just yet. So we're kind of waiting for the next shoe to drop there. I think with a good amount of bait around, they should show up soon. Moving in back inshore a little bit, we're going to stop at Nantucket Shoals. And I've heard of a lot of big fish coming off the shoals this week, up to 13 pounds. That was the biggest fish I heard of. Saw several posts of people who got their personal best this week out on the shoals. And I think the biggest complaint for the guys that are going out there is just, you know, we're in the midst of the new moon. These are some really big moon tides we're having this year. And it's making the drift really fast. So guys are having to control the drift if they want to get these fish. Otherwise, they're just kind of blowing over the hot spots and not hooking up too many times. So if you can control your drift, the bite's been really good. Next week with slower tides, it should be even better. Moving into Nantucket Sound now, it's been some decent fluking in there as well. A lot more short fish, a lot more, you know, ordinary keepers, but you don't have to make that long run. Sounds like the keeper ratio has been about 15 to 1, so you're weeding through some shorts to get those keepers. But you know, if you like fishing, everyone likes catching. Out at the Vineyard, it seems like the bonito bite has cooled off quite a bit. Still some stripers on the north side for the surf guys getting them on darters and needlefish and live eels. And then pushing through the Elizabeths out into Buzzards Bay. Sea bass fishing's been solid, And there's been some decent fluke on some of the, some of those deep flats out there, or, outside some of those spaces between the islands. Moving up toward the canal, we're seeing another push of striped bass moving into the area now. Maybe not quite as heavy or quite as big as that first push of fish, but they are back in the area. And I think we'll see more fish moving into the canal as a result of that. And for a little bit more from the canal, let's check in now with East End Eddie. Here he is.
Hi Dave, it's a muggy morning here in the canal. We've got a east rising tide behind me, and there's a ton of weed in the canal being brought in from Buzzards Bay. The good news is it's not that gunky stuff that's hard to get off your hook, but there's so much weed, you'll be cleaning your hooks on every cast. I haven't seen this much weed since the Grateful Dead were in town. But the good news also is that there's a lot of striped bass in Buzzards Bay now. There was a lull for about a week there where they weren't around. They probably went through the Elizabeths, but guys in boats are catching above slots now. And so hopefully those fish ride an east tide and come into the canal. So there haven't been too many bent rods, but Spocky Euskatus, who likes to chunk, caught a nice 32-inch chunking cut mackerel on at slack tide, early slack tide. So congratulations to Spocky. There haven't been many fish lately. And so hopefully the effects of the new moon that we got yesterday are not diminished by this heat, because I like the new moon better than the full moon. So I just want to also mention that the Falmouth Fishermen's Association had their black sea bass tournament last week, and there's a lot of canal rats in the Falmouth Fishermen's Association, and it was won by a canal rat, Mashpee Mike Larea. And Mashpee Mike caught 8 fish that totaled more than 140 inches. And so congratulations to Mike. He's the winner of the coveted FFA Cup. And so I also just, my tip of the week is when you're riding your canal bike along the service road, just be careful when you see low-hanging branches, because don't forget, the tips of your rod are a lot higher than you are, and you don't want those to whack into the branches and possibly do damage to your rod, and more than likely do damage to your line. You don't want to lose a nice fish because you got a nick in the line. So just be careful, and until next week, catch a big one.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing: that nothing says no to fish bites.
Heading out into the western part of Buzzards Bay, talking to Jason Colby of Little Sister Charters running out of Westport. He said the sea bass fishing's been really good. They've been seeing some really nice sized sea bass, catching a few fluke here and there as well. And he said the striped bass fishing's been surprisingly good over the last week. Nothing of huge size. These fish are from like slot size up to like 38 inches or so. But good numbers of fish. They're biting during the day, and that's what I've got for you guys in Massachusetts this week. Crossing over into Rhode Island, let's start things off with an East Bay report from TJ Kopecky.
Thanks, Dave. Hey guys, quick video for a little bit of the East Bay section, Rhode Island. Barrington and Warren Rivers seem to be still holding some bass, despite of the 70-degree water temperatures plus that are up in there. Lots of schoolies to be caught. Most of the fish are being caught at dusk and dawn or at night on the bridges. Bucktails are working, topwater's working early in the morning, and some 3 to 4 inch white paddle tails are also doing really well. Moving further out towards Rumstick Point, always a great bet for some bigger bass. There are some bigger bass hanging in the bay, and there's also some pogies still hanging around in the bay. Got some good reports of a lot of that still happening, despite of these warm weather that we're having and the warm bay temperatures that are out there. Cold State Park, great spot for a chunk. If you can get some mackerel or if you can get a chunk of pogie out there, guys are doing great from shore right now on them. Guys out in the boats, out front there between Prudence and Cold State Park, doing well on trolling with swimming plugs. And if you can get a live pogie down. Plenty of bass. Moving further around up into Papa Squash and into Bristol Harbor, still some small bass still holding around Hog Island. And a phenomenal scup bite from the lighthouse all the way to the Mount Hope Bridge. I did have an opportunity to fish in Mount Hope Bay on Sunday, and let me tell you, it was lights out bass fishing for at least 2 hours. And if you guys saw my social media, I went live and just to prove to you that there was birds, there was lots of life inside of Mount Hope Bay. They were on small bait. We were using 5-inch white culprit minnows to catch these fish on, and I tell you, it was just every single cast almost that we got fish from, I'm gonna say 25 to 35 inches. There was some overslot fish in the mix, 20 feet of water off Gold Medal Bakery. It was a great day. So we moved over to, after that fishing died, we moved a little over towards the Secana River, and we did pretty well on Common Fence Point with some sea bass. Getting some sea bass inside of the bay now, which is another good thing. So we bounced it about 37 feet in the ship channel there on the north side. So it was good. Hey, lots of life inside the bay, guys. If you can get out there and do some fishing, it's a good time for it. Got a little cool down coming. It's probably going to help the bass fishing a little bit. It'll cool that water off. So if you can get out there, tight lines, and we'll catch you next week.
We've seen water temps up inside Narragansett Bay, up inside Mount Hope Bay, eclipse 70 degrees this week. On incoming tides during the nighttime, you're still going to see, 66, 67 degrees. But, as you get past high water and then that water starts rushing out, it's been sun warmed all day, you're seeing, 70, 69, 72. And that has ushered a lot of the fish that were up inside the bay out. However, it has not cleared them all out. There's a lot of bunkers still up in those areas, and if you can find a place where those bunkers are congregated, you're going to find some striped bass with them. Most of these fish are in the 18 to 24 pound class, but we've seen a few bigger fish up to about 38 pounds around these schools of bunkers. So there's still chances for getting some big fish out of the bay, but there's much better fishing outside. Out front, off of Newport, off of Sakonnet, off of Jamestown, off of Point Judith, we're seeing a lot of nice striped bass for the second week in a row, maybe the third week in a row actually. A lot of these fish are 25 to 30 something pounds, and then there's a decent number of fish, up to 50 inches. We're getting fish into the mid 40 pound class along this area. Tube and worm has been working extremely well. Guys are getting fish at first light on top waters like the dock, and obviously live eels and soft plastic eels are getting it done in that same region. That's probably the best place you can go on a short run to get some really big striped bass. If you want giant stripers, you're going to want to go to Block Island. Typical trips out of Block Island this week have been nothing short of incredible. A lot of fish in the 30 pound class, and then the typical trip is seeing anywhere from like 2 to 8 40 pound fish, which is just off the charts. So really good striped bass fishing in Rhode Island right now. Let's check in with our field correspondents. We'll start with Jeff Sullivan.
What's up, Dave? What's going on, guys? Checking back in with you guys this week. Let's talk about the sea heron bite, because I feel like no one's talking about it, because it's going on. It's going down like crazy, and there's been a lot of fish on them, and they're big fish too at that. The last 2 days we've been countering fish on sea heron, spitting them up, all over the surface, rolling on the surface. I mean, these feeds are epic. These fish are hungry. They're moving quick, because I sea heron move quick. They're very fast bait. Try to maximize, when you see them on top, try to maximize that time when they're on top. They're not too picky. I mean, if you match the profile and match the color, you're pretty much going to get tight. But man, are those feeds epic. And we were out at 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning, and I mean, we rolled to the spot, and there was fish just chewing sea heron. It was just epic. So I price check them with the dock, with the surface top, with the topwater stuff first. And then if sometimes they get picky on the top, and then I'll start using the shads, the Joe Bag Swatter, the SP minnows. The trick is with these, you have to work them fast. You got to match that bait profile, so you got to work them fast. Not saying you won't get tight if you don't you don't work them fast, but it's better when they're fast because it gets those fish to react to it quick and they commit to it. You know, like the surface stuff I'm using is the Game On X Walk. This bait's been crushing it really well. They haven't been too picky with us, which is good. And the 9-inch stock or the Jig and Roll Bone or the Joe Bag Skipper, you know, any type of top water spook would work really well. Your pencil poppers work good too in Wonder Bread. Guppy pencils, if you guys have guppies out there, you surf casters, those work very well. And your soft plastics. If there's not a lot of bluefish in these herring feeds, don't be afraid to throw soft plastics. But if there are bluefish, then I would kind of just hold off and use some hard plastic. But yeah, I've been using the 8-inch and the 5-inch NLBN. Traditionally, these baits are crushing it. I'm using this big one on the bottom when I'm marking the big fish, and the small ones, you know, kind of ripping it in the water column or even on the surface, they'll come up and crush it. Actually, there's a striper scale on this. Aha! Striper scale. So clearly, you know, they've been chewing on it. And the 3 3/4 inch NLBN shads, these just came out. These are awesome, and they match our profile absolutely perfectly because we're running into fish, you know, that are that size. This size is 3 3/4 inch, 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, and then 12-inch. So you can throw those bigger baits and have those fish eat. It's been a nice couple of days on the water, Dave. You know, I was talking to a couple guys, you know, networking a little bit. Some guys had slow days, some guys had okay days, and some guys had epic days. So I mean, we've been doing very, very well, so I'm not complaining. It's been very fishy. And as far as the ground game goes, the fluke have been spitting up the sea heron too, so you know they're following those schools around of bluefish and bass. And you don't be afraid to drop a bucktail to the bottom under those blitzes and see what you can find, because those flatfish are very curious and they're hungry too, so they'll follow those schools around. And so just keep that in mind for next time. Yeah, the sea bass bite's been good. You know, pretty status quo, and 60 feet and 45 feet, you know, find some structure, you'll find some sea bass. Just, you know, kind of do some drifts, figure it out that way and see what they want. I've been doing a lot of diamond jigging and slow pitching for sea bass, which is a blast. But yeah, I mean, the feeds that we're getting on with these bluefish and stripers, Dave, I mean, they're mid to high teens pushing 20-pound bluefish to, you know, 30-pound to 35-pound class bass. So, you know, it's been all good over on this side of the world, Dave. So I'll check in with you guys later. I gotta get some sleep.
Hey Dave, Todd Treonze, Hooked Fishing Gear with a quick weekly fishing report. Back from the West Coast after some vacation and really got back into fishing, so I have a couple things to share. First, striped bass. For the guys in a kayak, I've noticed that the tube and worm is not producing as well as it has at times. And I wanted to share a couple of things that I've found that have been working even on some of these more finicky fish. Number one, bucktails, throwing a nice bucktail with a good feather behind it, a little bit of a longer trailer. Those have been working good on some of the more picky fish. And the other thing I've seen that's been working, got a couple good fish today, unweighted albie snacks, either the small ones or the big ones. Mark fish, throw on top of them, work them through real slow, and those fish are coming up and rising to get them on top. Black sea bass, worked some of the deeper structure, kind of getting away from the crowds and where normal folks have been fishing some of the areas, and have been able to find and weed out some bigger fish, 19, 20-inch fish, which is good to see with more consistency. And then last but not least, the bonito thing. I saw last week people were getting them, had a chance to target them the last 2 days, and got into them pretty good. They are on sand eels. And because they're on sand eels, anything from an epoxy perspective in that 3 to 4 inch range, you see the fish break, you cast near them, you're going to hook up. It's almost automatic. So that's my report from the last week. And hope everybody has a great week on the water. Stay hooked out there.
Now let's head over to Point Judith and check in with Captain John Lee from JL Charters.
Hey, John Lee, Point Judith, Rhode Island. Fishing this week for stripers has been pretty good. We got some big fish fishing the 45-inch range. Again, some of those have been trolling umbrellas. Some have been on eels, and some have been on... Actually, we did not get a jig bite. The fish are definitely starting to spread out. I'm not marking them in the water column. I'm mostly marking them on the bottom. The blues have been mixed with the bass. But today we saw mostly bluefish, just a few bass, and less blues than we have seen. So my fear, and I hope this is not true, that the blues don't leave and head to Nomans or head to the dump or head wherever bluefish head. They're pretty pelagic fish. I like having the blues around, especially on charters, because they're very good fill fish. They fight well, they're cool looking. I like to eat them. So to lose the blues to somewhere else, I'd feel that. The bottom bite has been less than epic. Again, we all know people who are catching somewhere at some time. But the boats that I talk to that fish out of Point Judith, the fluke and the sea bass, you got to really work for it. One tide you get them, you head back the next day expecting the same results, totally different game. So very inconsistent on the fluke. They're out there, there's some big ones out there, they're just, it takes effort. Anyway, I will get up with you next week. I hope all is well. Have a good one. Thanks.
At the edge of Long Island, where the ocean meets tradition, Montauk Anglers Club can be your boat's home and your gateway to legendary fishing. Whether you're a pro or just casting your first line, this is where memories are made. Join Montauk Anglers Club, where the catch of the day is just the beginning. Or go to montaukanglersclub.com for more information.
The other thing that's been really good in Rhode Island is the bonito fishing. It has been off the charts good. I've heard of multiple guys that have been out, just for a morning session. We're talking 3-4 hours of fishing, and they're getting 20 to 30 bonito. The only downside is that most of these bonito are on the smaller side, topping out at like 23, maybe 24 inches. We have heard of a few fish up to about 6 pounds, which is a solid fish, but most of these fish are much smaller. But the action kind of makes up for the size. Guys are getting them on jerk baits, they're getting them on little paddle tails, they're getting them on epoxy jigs like the XO jig and stuff like that. And they're seeing some pretty intense feeds, which is pretty exciting. So a lot of bonito around. Another fish that's been surprisingly abundant is fluke. Fluke's been better out toward Block Island, but we are seeing fish up inside Narragansett Bay, getting up toward the bridges. We're seeing fish out in front of Point Judith, out in front of the South County beaches. And the bite's been very good. Similar keeper ratio along the beaches and in closer to shore that we were seeing in Nantucket Sound, like 12 to 15 to 1. But there's some nice fish around, and if you can find those balls of bigger bait, you've got a good chance of getting a much larger fish. And that's what I have for you guys at Rhode Island this week. Crossing the border into Connecticut, striped bass still sort of reigning supreme throughout most of Connecticut. The bookends of the sound, the extreme western and the extreme eastern are the places where the best fishing has been. In the eastern sound, it's been the Race, it's been the Gut, it's been all around Fisher's Island, and it's been up around the mouth of the Thames River as well. A lot of solid fish, a lot of fish from like 25 to 40 pounds coming out of these areas. And they're doing it in such a wide variety of ways. I think I'd have to talk for 20 minutes to cover them all. But out in the Race, diamond jigs, 3-weight bucktails, 3-weight eels. That's what's getting it done. In along the shoreline and some of the reefs outside the Connecticut River, first light, you're getting some nice fish on top water. Outside of that, it's big metal lips, it's big soft plastics, and it's live eels. And the other thing that we're hearing about is some guys doing well on the tube and worm, trolling around some of those reefs, trolling around places outside the Thames River. All these places are producing nice fish on the troll. For a little bit more on what's going on striped bass wise, let's check in now with Captain Mike Roy from Real Cast Charters.
Hey everybody, for this week's fish report, striped fishing remains good. A lot of big fish around, and they're hitting artificials, but if you get live bait, even better. Bunker's going to be a little hard to find, but that's going to be a really good shot at catching some big fish. There's wide size ranges of fish, everything from slot size fish to just over slot, and some big cows around as well. We actually got a few big blues. We had a 15-pound bluefish yesterday, so there are a few blues swimming around. Not a lot yet, maybe one a day type deal. Black sea bass fishing is now open in New York, so sea bass fishing, from what I hear, is pretty good as well. That's all I have for you. Good luck.
Now let's cross the river and we'll check in with Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. Nice little heat wave just went through. I definitely would normally not want a heat wave in June, but this time of year with the water being so cold, I was actually pretty glad to see it come through. Still really warm today, but we are kind of on the tail end of it as I shoot this. What that has done for our fishery, we've had some more bunkers show up locally, which has been great. We always want bunker to show up. It kind of kickstarts and throws fuel on the fire for us. So guys are starting to get bunker. We're still selling a lot of eels here at the shop. Guys are going out in the evenings on the reefs, doing really well on live eels, either three-weighing those or letting them free swim. Same thing with bunker, obviously, when you can get it yourself. A lot of good topwater eats have been happening too on the days when the weather permits or at low light situations. We've had a lot of really nice bass around. Guys, some of the older gentlemen are saying it's some of the best bass fishing they've seen. For the most part, I think that is still for us concentrated further out in deeper water or deeper water structure. The inshore stuff, kind of in tight shallow water points and reefs and the rips and things like that, hasn't quite fired up, but I'm definitely seeing signs that it is in the process of doing that. Other than that, there's been some blues scattered around, but definitely not a noteworthy bluefish bite at the moment. Sea bass is closed for us here in Connecticut. Porgy bite has been good. It's getting better, and it's going to keep getting better the warmer this water gets. And fluke has been solid. Another good start to a fluke season, 40 feet plus, but I do expect that to get shallower as the water warms again with this warming trend that we're on right now. So that's where we're at here. Enjoy this beautiful weather. It is midsummer, and we love it down here on the coast. So we'll see you next time you come on through the shop.
Fluking's been good outside of the Connecticut River and then heading west from there, out around the reefs and some of those bigger sand patches in between. This fluke has been pretty solid. Similar keeper ratio. That's just sort of the story of the game right now. 15 to 20 to 1. But the guys that don't mind grinding it out are putting together limits. They're finding some decent fish. The reefs are also holding lots of scup, and I mean lots of them. And it's been, things have just sort of transitioned from kind of a slow bite to just all-out warfare in that area. One thing you have to keep track of, though, is the fact that sea bass season is closed right now in Connecticut. And it's going to reopen on July 8th. So if you want to get into some sea bass fishing, the only people who are exempt are charter fishermen. You can hop on a party boat, you can charter a boat, and go out there and sea bass to your heart's content. Otherwise, you got to wait till July 8th, so don't mess that up. Another thing around the reefs has been a lot of striped bass. Similar sizes, what we've been seeing everywhere else. There's a contingent of slot-sized fish. There's a contingent of fish in the mid-teen to mid-20-pound class, and then there's the occasional really big fish, up into the 40-pound class. Also, some bluefish around. They seem to be split into two sizes, either really small or like solid gator-sized fish from like 9 to 12 pounds. They are not around in big numbers. A lot of times they're not being found in big schools. It's just more random. But there are some bluefish around out there if you want to get in on some chopper action. And they're mixing in with the bass at times as well. Heading further west from there, striper fishing has been good off that 50 line from Milford out to New Haven in that stretch out there. Chunking is a good way to get those fish. It's a nighttime bite most of the time. Live eels will also get it done. And then further west from there, really good striped bass fishing continues out in the extreme western sound, even in spite of the fact that the water temps have climbed, close to or eclipsed 70 degrees. There's so much bait in the area that these fish are sticking around. I haven't heard of anything really gigantic this week, not like we were hearing about at the beginning of June, but still solid fish up to the 30-pound class. And for a little bit more on that and some of the other things going on in the western sound, let's check in now with Max Finch from Fisherman's World.
Hey everyone, Max from Fisherman's World with the local fishing report. This past week, we've seen a lot of big bluefish starting to move in. I would say most of the action's to the west off 32A and off Captain's Island between the weather buoy and 32A in the mid-sound, about 80 to 120 feet. They're not on structure, they're not like, on bunker schools, but they go out there finning. So targeting them with poppers is great. Trolling wire with umbrella rigs with the tubes are really good. Deep divers also work really well, and bunker spoons. We are starting to see some big bluefish on our deeper water reefs like 11B and 28C. they're just kind of mixed in with the bass right now, but we should see this get better as we move into this, this hotter weather coming up this week. The bass fishing is still fantastic. I mean, it's crazy, the bass fishing this year. They're starting to move inside the islands. They're still all over our deep water reefs, 11B, 28C, the OB, buoy, greens, ledge, you name it. Chunk and bunker is definitely the way to go this time of year. Guys are starting to say, they're not hitting the flutter spoons as good or the diamond jigs, but the bass are really starting to get on that chunk bite. The waters are getting warmer, so chunking at night is your best bet for a big fish. You can chunk inside shallow on these windy days, inside the islands. You can still find fish up to like 35 pounds, or maybe in those big 40-pounders lurking around. And if it's nicer out to get out there, definitely on our reefs. We're starting to see some more weak fish too. They're starting to move into our harbor, inside the island, and then we heard of a lot of weak fish off Port Jeff. On the fluke side, we've seen a lot of nice fluke this past couple of weeks. 7, 8, 9 pounds, a lot of 5-pounders, but south of the island, south of Middle Passage, south of Sheffield, offshore Rhode Island, Can 26, I would say between 20 and 40 feet this time of year. Squid strips, spearing, gulp is your best bet. Sea bass are definitely concentrated on our deeper water wrecks. I would say 50 to 80 foot. They'll take a variety of baits and also diamond jigs and butterfly jigs. Porgies are inching their way in. With this warmer weather coming up, we should start to see more and more hit our beaches, but definitely in those 30 to foot range on our reefs. Thanks and good luck.
And that's what we have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there. Man, we are almost in July. It's almost hard to believe. Water temps are lower than they normally would be, which is really making the fishing a lot better in my opinion. Especially if you're a striper guy, especially if you're a surf guy. So, go take advantage of this cooler than normal water. You're going to get out there, you're going to find some great fish. And I also want to remind you again that the July edition is on the shelf at your favorite tackle shop, and it'll be showing up in your mailbox any day if you haven't already got it. If you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of what we offer at the website there. We cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine. We cover all species you can think of, whether you're fishing for tilefish and tuna or you're fishing for striped bass and scup. We've got it covered. We cover freshwater, we cover travel, we cover all angling disciplines from surf and kayak to inshore and offshore boating. And you get it all for one low price. It's $31.95 for the year. You're going to get 12 paper editions sent to your house, 26 digital editions sent to your email inbox. You're also going to get digital access to all the back issues, plus our other 2 editions, of which we have 3. So you're going to subscribe to the New England edition. You're going to get digital access to the Long Island Metro edition and the New Jersey edition. It's the best $32 you can spend in fishing. But if you head over to the website and you're still not interested, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right about there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.